Hi, good morning and welcome to Today in Parliament with me, Aishwarya Kapoor. Here are this morning's Parliament headlines. Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill in Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Piyush Goyal to move the bill for consideration and passing. Bill allows provisional attachment of properties of fugitive offenders. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar to move the National Council for Teacher Education Amendment Bill 2018 in the Rajya Sabha. Bill already cleared by the Lok Sabha to give retrospective recognition to institutes offering teacher education courses without NCTE permission. Negotiable Instruments Amendment Bill 2018 in the Rajya Sabha, MOS Finance Shiv Pratap Shukla to move bill for passage. It has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. And discussion slated in the Lok Sabha today on the recent flood and drought situation across several states in the country. Discussion under Rule 193. Several important bills also slated for consideration in the lower house. Important bills are slated to be taken up in both houses of parliament today. The Rajya Sabha will take up the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2018. The bill allows for provisional attachment of the properties of fugitive offenders, and the bill has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. Apart from this, the Negotiable Instruments Amendment Bill 2018, the National Council for Teacher Education Amendment Bill 2018 will be taken up in the upper house today. And in the Lok Sabha, on Tuesday, it passed the Prevention of Corruption Amendment Bill. The bill seeks to punish bribe givers for the first time along with the bribe takers. And today, the lower house will take up the Criminal Law Amendment Bill 2018, among others. Talking about the upper house first, Finance Minister Piyush Goyal will move the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill 2018 in the upper house today. The bill allows for a person to be declared as a fugitive economic offender if an arrest warrant has been issued against him for any specified offences where the value involved is over 100 crore rupees. Also, if the person has left the country and refuses to return to face prosecution. To declare a person a fugitive economic offender, an application will be filed in a special court, which will require the person to appear at a specified time at least 6 weeks from the issue of notice. The bill allows authorities to provisionally attach properties of an accused while the application is pending before the special court. The bill has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. Let's get more details from my colleague Kriti Mishra, who's joining us live from Parliament. A very good morning, Kriti. So, very important Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill that empowers the authorities to attach and confiscate the properties and assets of economic offenders who flee the country is going to be taken up in the Rajya Sabha today. Tell us more.
That's right, Aishwarya. So crucial bills are listed on today's agenda, the most crucial being the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill that seeks to replace the ordinance that was promulgated recently. Remember, this bill will pave way for confiscation of assets of absconders who defraud the financial institutions and flee the country. So this bill will re-establish the rule of law because the offenders would be forced to return to India and face the trial. This bill will also lead to high recovery for the banks and also aid in the robust economic health of the banking system and other financial institutions. There are other important bills like the Negotiable Instruments Amendment Bill. This bill has also been passed by the Lok Sabha. This bill will allow the courts to issue an order to the drawer or the person who's written the check to pay interim compensation to the complainant. Now, this interim compensation has to be paid within 60 days of the court's order and can be up to 20% of the amount of the check. But remember, Aishwarya, if the person or the drawer is acquitted, then the person who receives the interim compensation will have to return the amount along with the interest. So this bill will also restore the credibility of banking instruments like checks. There's another very crucial bill in the Rajya Sabha today, which is the National Council for Teachers Education Bill that seeks to provide retrospective recognition to institutions providing teachers education without the approval of NCTE. Remember, this bill is a one-time measure. This proposed legislation is a one-time measure to grant this approval to the institutions in order so that the future of the students who are seeking education from such institutions is not jeopardized. So certainly a very important legislative agenda in the Rajya Sabha today. Aishwarya?
And also in Lok Sabha, Kriti, of course, a very heavy legislative agenda there as well. And we understand that there's going to be a discussion under Rule 193 on the recent flood and drought situation in various parts of the country. So that is also going to be very important today.
Well, that's right. So Jitendra Chaudhary and Kalikesh Singh, they would raise this discussion on floods and drought situation in the country. There are other important bills also lined up in the Lok Sabha. The criminal law amendment bill would also be taken up in the lower house, and also the anti-trafficking bill is slated to come up in the Lok Sabha today. Aishwarya?
Right. Thank you so much, Kriti, for all those updates. We'll keep coming back to you for more details on whatever is happening inside Parliament today. And the Negotiable Instruments Amendment Bill 2018 is slated to be taken up in the Rajya Sabha today. This bill seeks to further amend the Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881. The bill that has been passed by the Lok Sabha provides for allowing a court trying a check bounce offence to direct the drawer or the person who writes the check to pay interim compensation to the complainant. This interim compensation, not exceeding 20%, may be paid under certain circumstances, including where the drawer pleads not guilty of the accusation within 60 days of the trial court's order to pay the compensation. And the Rajya Sabha is also scheduled to take up the National Council for Teacher Education Amendment Bill 2018. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar will move the bill that seeks to amend the National Council for Teacher Education Act of 1993. The bill seeks to provide post facto approval to those approved institutions which are funded by the centre or states but do not have the recognition under the 1993 law. It has been passed by the Lok Sabha. And Union Minister Maneka Gandhi will move the Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill 2018 in the Lok Sabha today. This bill aims to prevent the trafficking of persons, especially women and children, and to provide care, protection and rehabilitation of the victims of trafficking. The bill will persecute offenders and create a legal, economic and social environment for the victims. Among the several features of the bill are addressing the issue of trafficking from the point of view of prevention, rescue and rehabilitation. It is also to address the aggravated forms of trafficking, which includes the trafficking of for the purpose of forced labor, begging, trafficking by administrating chemical substance or hormones on a person for the purpose of early sexual maturity, trafficking of a woman or a child for the purpose of marriage or under the pretext of marriage or after marriage. The bill also proposes punishment for promoting or facilitating trafficking of persons. And apart from this, Homeopathy Central Council Amendment Bill 2018 and the Criminal Law Amendment Bill 2018 will be moved in the Lok Sabha today. And there will be discussion in the Lok Sabha today under Rule 193. MP Jitendra Chaudhary and Kalikesh Singh will raise the issue on the recent flood and drought situation in various parts of the country. The rule under which the discussion will be held does not entail voting. And the following ministers will lay papers in the Rajya Sabha today. Dharmendra Pradhan for the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Santosh Kumar Gangwar for the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Giriraj Singh for the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Vishnu Deosai for the Ministry of Steel. Hansraj Gangaram Mahir for the Ministry of Home Affairs. Also Kiran Rijiju for the Ministry of Home Affairs. Jayant Sinha for the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Ajit Amta for the Ministry of Textiles. And C.R. Chaudhary for the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And following ministers will papers on the table in the Lok Sabha today. Nirmala Sitharaman for the Ministry of Defence. Dr. Jitendra Singh for the Ministry of Atomic Energy. Manoj Sinha for the Ministry of Communications. S.S. Ahluwalia for the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Haribhai Partibhai Chaudhary for the Ministry of Coal. Rajen Gohain for the Ministry of Railways. Virendra Kumar for the Ministry of Minority Affairs. P.P. Chaudhary for the Ministry of Law and Justice. And Subhash Ramrao Bhamre for the Ministry of Defence. And that's it in this edition of Today in Parliament. Do stay tuned. The proceedings of the Upper House are going to begin in a short while from now. Thanks for watching.